Before I begin my speech, I would like you to say some prayers for me in the comment section. A sincere prayer from your heart is all I need. We must conquer. I was never afraid of death, not because I am a soldier, but because I am a servant of something greater than myself. The fear of death ends the moment you find something worth dying for. They ask me if I think about it, if I think about what might happen if I go too far, if I speak too loudly, if I resist too strongly. But the truth is, I do not fear what may come. I only fear leaving this earth without fulfilling what I was sent to do. From the day I took this path, I knew it was not a path of comfort. It was not a path of praise. It was not a path with guarantees. But it was the only path that allowed me to face the people with clean hands and a clear heart. I do not seek to be remembered as a hero, only as a man who refused to betray his people, as a son of the soil who chose truth over applause, duty over luxury, conviction over convenience, and some chase power to extend their lives. I use power to extend the lives of others, to lift the burden from the farmer, to return the land to the people, to defend the dignity of the African child. And yes, I know the cost. I know the weight of every decision. I know the risk of every word. I know that some would rather see me silent. Some would rather see me gone. But I do not speak for their comfort. I speak because I cannot stay silent while my people remain in chains. They did not choose chains made of debt, of fear, of dependency, of silence disguised as peace. They may take this body one day, but they will not take the truth, because truth is not buried in the ground. It grows, it spreads, it ignites. When you serve something greater than yourself, you do not ask how long you will live. You ask how deeply your life will matter. You ask what seeds you will plant, what minds you will awaken, what chains you will break, even if you do not live to see the harvest. I know I would die someday, but not in vain, because the work we do now echoes beyond our time. Because every school we built taught, every voice we lift, every chain we cut, becomes a legacy that no bullet can erase. They say I am too bold, but it is not boldness. It is clarity, clarity that life means nothing if it is lived in fear. Clarity that leadership means nothing if it protects only the powerful. Clarity that freedom is not a gift. It is a sacrifice. And I have chosen to be part of that sacrifice. I do not fear being misunderstood. I only fear being remembered as a man who could have done more but chose less. So I speak and I stand and I serve, not because I want to be remembered, but because I want my people to remember themselves, to remember they are not weak, to remember they are not voiceless, to remember they are not owned, to remember they are not alone. And if my life must be the flame that lights that memory, then I accept it. If the day ever comes when my blood is spilled, let it not be mourned in silence. Let it not be remembered with fear. Let it be remembered as the water that fed the roots of a new Africa. My blood will not be the last word, because I am not the messenger. I am only the messenger. The message is stronger than me, louder than me, greater than me. The message is that Africa does not belong to those who buy it. Africa belongs to those who build it, to those who defend it, to those who wake each day and say, I will not leave my people behind. I know there are forces watching, waiting, hoping I will fall, but let them know that my fall will not be the end. It will be the beginning of 1,000 more who rise. I am only one voice, but I speak for millions who are finding theirs. For the student who says, I will not leave my country to serve another. For the soldier who says, I will not protect a system that hurts my own. For the mother who says, I will not raise my child to believe we are less than any other. I do not stand here by accident. I stand here because my people chose to fight back. No with weapons, but with the will to be free, to be whole, and to be sovereign in more than name. They ask me why I speak so strongly, why I refuse to compromise, why I will not soften my stance. It is because I have seen the price of silence. I have buried dreams that died not from bullets but from betrayal. I have watched villages rot while cities grew for the benefit of a few. I have seen boys become soldiers not for pride but for bread. And so I speak because the silence of yesterday allowed the suffering of today. And I refuse to let that silence shape our tomorrow. If my voice is silenced, let it echo through yours. If my steps are halted, let others take them further. If my eyes close, let others open theirs even wider. My blood is not a sacrifice. It is an offering to the land that made me, to the people who raised me, to the cause that will outlive me. This journey is not about how long we live. It is about what we live for. And I have lived for this, for the truth, for the youth stop, for the return of dignity to the African name. They say I am a target, but I am not afraid, because they can take the body, but not the belief, not the spiritual, not the idea that we are worth more than what we have been told. So if I must die, let it be with my boots on. Let it be with my head height. Let it be with my people rising all around me, because my blood will not be the last word. Africa will speak after me. Africa will rise after me. Africa will leave. This struggle was never about me. It was never about my name, or my title, or how long I would lead. This struggle began long before I was born. I began when they crossed our oceans and stole our sons, when they renamed our rivers and redrew our borders, when they taught us to forget who we were, and then blamed us for what we had become. This struggle is not personal, it is generational. It belongs to the past that was stolen, to the present that is still shackled, and to the future that is still waiting to be reclaimed. I was not chosen to be praised. I was chosen to be poured out, to carry a burden, to speak a truth, to walk through fire that others might walk through freedom. Some think I enjoy power, but I do not wear power like a crown. I carry it like a cross, because I know every choice I make can cost more than comfort. It can cost peace. It can cost friendships. It can even cost my life. But what is a life if it is lived in fear? What is a title if it is earned at the expense of truth? What is leadership if it preserves a system that continues to destroy its own people? This is not about one president. This is about every father who cannot feed his child, every daughter who must leave her homeland to find dignity, every widow who buries her son and is told to be grateful for peace. I do not speak to impress, I speak to awaken, because Africa is not waiting for another savior. She is waiting for her children to remember. Remember her pain. Remember her promise. Remember her power. And if I am only one voice in that remembering, then let my voice be loud. Let it be firm. Let it be honest. I have no illusions. I know not everyone agrees with my path. Some say I move too fast. Some say I speak too boldly. But I say the enemy moves faster, and silence speaks louder when it protects the wrong people. They tell me I must play the game, that I must negotiate with those who have always had their hand on our neck. But I was not raised to serve the game. I was raised to serve the people. And the people are not asking for perfection. They are asking for honesty, for courage, for direction. This struggle was never about me. It was about the farmer who tills the land but cannot eat its fruit. It was about the teacher who teaches freedom from books printed by the very nations that enslaved us. It was about the soldier who defends a border drawn by men who never set foot on our soil. I am only a chapter in this long story, a short line in the book still being written. And if I must be removed so the next page can be turned, then so be it. But the story must continue. It must continue in the classrooms, in the barracks, in the hearts of every young African who refuses to settle for less than what we deserve. Because this struggle, this rising to, this return to dignity was never about me. It was always about us. They want us to forget the names they erased, the languages they banned, the wealth they took, the borders they built with ink, not with blood. They want us to forget how they arrived with Bibles and left with gold, or how they preached peace while planning division, how they trained our brothers to fight our fathers, how they taught us to hate our own and love what was foreign. But we remember the kingdoms that stood tall before the maps were redrawn. We remember the names of heroes they buried beneath their history. We remember the melodies of our mothers and the stories of our fathers. I remember that we were more than tribes. We were civilizations. They want us to forget because memory is power, because remembering leads to rising, because those who remember cannot be ruled the same way. So they distract us with lights, with prizes, with screens that speak in every language except our own. They flood our minds with images that tell us we are not enough, not rich enough, not wise enough, not modern enough toch. But we are not blind. We are waking and we are remembering. We remember the soil that fed us before it was stolen. We remember the rivers that healed us before they were poisoned. We remember that Africa was not born broken. She was broken by force, and now she is healing by choice. They cannot erase what is rising in our hearts, because this memory is no longer trapped in books. It is living in the streets, in the chants of students, in the vision of leaders who refuse to kneel, in the silence of elders who know exactly what this moment means. I carry that memory in my bones. And when I speak, it is not just with my voice. It is with the voice of every ancestor who watched this land be taken. And every child who deserves to inherit it whole, let them keep their version of history. We are writing our own now. And our version begins with truth. It begins with the rejection of shame and the return of pride. They cannot control the people who know where they came from. They cannot manipulate a people who know what was done to them. They cannot dominate a people who know they have the power to change it. We are not victims. We are survivors. And now we are leaders. This is more than memory. It is momentum. It is the force of remembering that we are enough, that we are rich, that we are chosen, that we are capable, and that we are not alone. They fear our unity because they fed off our division, but we remember that before the flag starts, before the borders, before the chains, we were one, and we will be one again, not by force, but by purpose. They want us to forget, but we remember. And because we remembered us, we arise. If I fall, let the people rise. Let my voice become a seed. Let my sacrifice become a signal. Let my absence ignite something greater than my presence ever could. Because I was never meant to be the end. I was only a beginning, a spark, and a shadow of what Africa can be when she remembers her strength. If I fall, do not weep for me. Sing the songs of the struggle. Light the fires of courage. Walk the road we started and take it further than I ever could. My role was never to last forever. It was to do what I could with the time I was given. And if that time ends today, then let the next day belong to the people. Let them rise with purpose. Let them rise with clarity. Let them rise not with fear, but with fire in their spirit and truth in their mouth. We did not begin this fight to worship any man. We began it so that no man would ever be worshipped again, so that no foreign flag would fly higher than our own, so that no leader would ever kneel to those who chained our fathers. If I fall, let every village know that this was not defeat. It was a declaration, a call to rise, to organize a muto, to unify the. Let the farmer know he still holds the power. Let the teacher know her voice still shapes nations. Let the soldier know his strength is still sacred. Let the youth know that history is now in their hands, because true leadership does not end in death. It lives in the minds of the people. It multiplies in the hearts that were once afraid but are now awakened. I do not speak to inspire mourning. I speak to inspire movement. Movement that does not depend on one voice, one face, one name, but belongs to all who believe that Africa deserves to walk tall. If I fall, let my fall remind the world that we were serious too, that we were willing to give everything for our freedom, and that nothing can stop a people who have found their voice. Do not build statues for me. Build school stock, build systems, build dreams, raise leaders who do not fear the truth. Let my memory live, not in stone but in action, not in silence but in songs, not in sorrow but in steps taken toward the freedom we demand. I have no fear of what may come, because I trust what I see, and what I see is a people who are waking, a people who are ready, a people who have carried the pain long enough and now choose purpose. So if I fall, do not stop, do not scatter, do not surrender that. Rise higher, speak louder, stand stronger, because this was never about me. This was about the mission, and the mission is not finished. It is only beginning. The freedom I dream of is not just political. It is not just about flags and elections and seats in foreign assemblies. The freedom I dream of is deeper. It lives in the heart. It walks in the soul. It is the kind of freedom that changes how we see ourselves before it changes how the world sees us. I dream of a freedom where the African child wakes up and knows they are not less cool, where our children speak their own languages in pride, where they learn not to escape their homeland, but to build it. I dream of a freedom where the soil belongs to those who till it, where gold is not exported while villages remain in darkness, where wealth is not hidden in bank accounts abroad, but flows through the hands of the people who created it. This freedom is not given by treaties. It is not found in loans. It is not granted in polite handshakes from those who once took everything. This freedom is built by hands that refuse to beg, by voices that refuse to lie, by minds that refuse to be bought. I do not dream of a freedom where we copy their ways. I dream of a freedom where we remember ours, where we dance to our own music, eat from our own land, and lead with our own wisdom. I dream of a continent where no one dies crossing deserts or drowning in oceans chasing dignity, because dignity lives right here in our soil, in our spirit, in our stories. The freedom I dream of is not about isolation. It is about independence. It is about walking into the world as equals, not as bigger, not as depanos, but as partners in our own right. I want our youth to stop asking if they are good enough, because they are. We are. We always were. We were just made to forget. Let our schools teach our real history. Let our artists shape our future. Let our leaders be servants, not rulers. Let our people be citizens, not spectators. This freedom is not far. It is not fantasy. It is already growing. It is already breathing in the hearts of those who are awake. It is already rising in the courage of those who speak out. I do not fight for a flag. I fight for a future where our people do not fear the truth. A future where women walk in safety, where children sleep in peace, where men do not carry guns because of hunger, but carry tools because of purpose. I want to see an Africa that speaks with one voice, not to beg, but to build, not to follow, but to lead. And if I must give all I have for this dream, then I give it gladly. Because the freedom I dream of is not for me. It is for those who come after, for the child unborn who will not inherit chains, but will inherit choices. And when that day comes, when Africa walks freely, boldly, confidently, then every sacrifice, every step, every word will have been worth it. I am just a man. I bleed like every other man. I feel pain, I feel fear, I feel the weight of every decision I make. But I also feel something greater than myself, a fire that burns not for attention but for purpose, a mission that began before I was born and will continue long after I am gone. I do not see myself as a savior. I am a servant of the soil, a servant of the people, a servant of the mission, because the mission is eternal. It is not about one name or one face. It is about the liberation of a continent that has waited too long to walk in its full power. It is about breaking systems that were never built for us and building structures that reflect our values, our spirit, our truth. I will not live forever, but if I can help lay one stone in the foundation of a free Africa, then I have lived well. If I can help one generation stand taller than the last, then I have done my part. The mission is not about me. It is about every child who has never tasted clean water while foreign companies dig under their village for gold. It is about every mother who watches her sons leave because hope no longer lives in their homeland. It is about every elder who remembers a time when we had pride before it was stripped away in the name of progress. So I remind myself every day, I am just a man. And because I am just a man, I must lead with humility. I must serve with discipline. I must speak with truth, even when it costs me, because the mission cannot be corrupted. It cannot be sold. It cannot be silenced. They may take me, but they cannot take the mission, because it lives in the voices of those who dare to speak, in the steps of those who dare to march, in the hands of those who dare to build. The mission is eternal because it is rooted in justice, and justice does not die. It may be delayed. It may be denied, but it does not disappear if I am remembered. Let it not be for how I died, but for how I stood. Let it not be for my title, but for my truth. Let it not be for my position, but for my purpose. Let the youth know that they are not waiting for another leader. They are the leaders. Let the people know that freedom does not come from outside. It grows from within. EIK grows when we choose dignity over dependence, when we choose courage over convenience, when we choose vision over fear. I am just a man, but the mission is eternal, and because it is eternal, it cannot be stopped. Not by bullets, not by lies, not by time. It only grows stronger with every voice that rises, with every lie that is exposed, with every step taken toward true liberation. So if I must fall, let the mission rise. Let the people rise. Let Africa rise. Even in death, I will still be with you. Because what I carry does not end when the heart stops. IT moves from breath to memory, from voice to spirit, from one generation to the next. I am not afraid of death, because I know death cannot erase the truth. It cannot bury purpose. I cannot silence what has already taken root in the people. My face may disappear, but the fire will remain. The fire that says Africa must no longer kneel. The fire that says we are not meant to serve but to stand. The fire that says our destiny is not to be managed, but to be mastered. Even if I fall, my words will walk. My steps will continue through you, through every young mind that dares to question, through every brave hand that dares to build, through every free heart that dares to speak. Do not mourn for me if I am taken. Celebrate the work we began and finish it with the same courage, the same commitment, the same clarity, because I never walked alone. From the beginning, I walked with the people, and I will continue to walk with you, not in body, but in spirit, in memory. In mission, they may try to erase my image, but they cannot erase the idea. And ideas are stronger than walls, stronger than bullets, stronger than fear. I will be with you in the farms where our people reclaim the land. I will be with you in the classrooms where our children learn truth, not shame. I will be with you in the streets where our youth march with purpose, not panic. I will be with you in the nights when the world turns its back. And you remember that you are still enough. Even in death, I will still speak, not from podiums, but from purpose, not for power, but for the people. Let them take my name from their newspapers. Let them rewrite the history. But you will know the truth, and the truth does not need permission to live. Carry it with honor, carry it with discipline, carry it with joy, because this struggle is not a burden. It is a blessing. It means we are alive. It means we still believe. It means we are no longer afraid to dream. Even in death, I will not leave you, because we are part of something that no grave can contain. No regime can destroy. No generation can forget. We are the sons and daughters of a soil that remembers, and I am only returning to it, not as a loss, but as a legacy. So if they say I am gone, tell them I have only gone home. And from there, I will still stand with you, talk, still fight beside you, still rise through you. Because even in death, I will still be with you. The land will speak my name, not in statues, not in ceremonies, but in the quiet dignity of those who choose to live free. Long after the headlines fade, long after the voices of doubt fall silent, the land will remember, because I did not serve to be remembered by men. I served to honor the land that gave me life. The land remembers those who loved her, those who defended her without seeking reward, those who refused to sell her for position or privilege, those who stood when it would have been easier to kneel. Every tree I walked under, every road I traveled, every village I visited will remember that I chose them. Not power, not luxury, not safety. And when the children walk across this land, I want them to walk without shame, without fear, without chains, with the pride of knowing that someone stood for them even before they were born. Let the winds carry my voice. Let the rains cleanse my memory. Let the rivers echo the truth that I did not lead for applause. I led so that no African child would have to ask permission to live in dignity. They may not build monuments, but the real monument is a free mind, a strong people, a continent that will not be sold again. I did not do this for credit. I did it for country. I did it for continent. I did it for the soil that fed me and the ancestors who still walk beside me when the world forgets. And the land will speak, and it will not speak in sorrow. It will speak in strength, in growth, in the lives rebuilt by those who believed in what we started. If they erase my name from history, let them, because history is not only written in books, it is written in blood, in sweat, in our soil, and the soil speaks. IT speaks for every unrecorded hero, every mother who kept hope alive, every father who stood tall without a title, every youth who chose purpose over escape. Let the soil remember that I did not die for power. I live for a purpose that belongs not to me, but to Africa. And so I say again, if I fall, let the land speak my name. Let the people walk the path. Let the dream outlive the dreamer, because no bullets, no silence, no betrayal can bury the truth that we are rising, and we will not be stopped. Not today, not tomorrow, dire, nor ever be. Let my death be the sound of a new beginning, not the closing of a chapter, but the opening of a new book, written not by one man, by millions, written not in fear, but in fire, not in whispers, but in the full voice of a continent that has remembered its name. If I fall, let it not be a reason to mourn. Let it be a reason to rise. Let the sound of my last breath become the first breath of a people no longer afraid to live free. Because I did not come to rule. I came to remind us of what we lost and what we still have time to reclaim. I came to remind us that Africa is not behind. She was betrayed. She was not broken. She was wounded, and now she is healing. I came to say that we do not need permission to stand. We do not need approval to build. We do not need pity to live. We only need the truth that we are enough, that we have always been enough, that we are not waiting on the world. So the world is waiting on us. Let my death be the signal that the silence is over, that the waiting is over, that the begging is over. Let it be the turning point when the farmer takes back his land, when the mother walks with pride, when the child dreams in their own language, when the youth stop running and start rebuilding. I do not fear the end, because I know what we have begun will not end. It has been planted in too many hearts. It has been watered by too many sacrifices. It has been lit by too many flames to go out now. I have seen the eyes of the people, and I know they are ready to, not for revenge, but for return, the return to dignity, the return to unity, the return to truth. And if my death must come, then let it come not as defeat, but as declaration that we will never go back to sleep, that we will never again accept chains dressed as contracts, that we will never again trade our freedom for their approval. Let my death be the sound of a new beginning, a beginning where no leader rises above the people, but among them, where no African feels ashamed to speak their mother tongue, where no border stands stronger than brotherhood, where no nation walks alone. You who still live, you are the beginning now. You are the page we waited for. You are the hope we carried. You are the answer we prayed for. So walk boldly, speak clearly, build faithfully, and when they ask what became of me, tell them he died with truth in his mouth and Africa in his heart. And from his silence, we found our voice. At this is not the end. This is the beginning. We could not afford to delay any longer. And now we walk